Today is August 30th, 2024,
Yeah.
our hopefully episode one.
Introductions. Who are we? What are I don't know. What are we doing?
All right. All right, Dylan, what's your name and your date of birth and your social security number?
My name's Dylan. My date of birth is a date on the calendar, and my social security number is a number. How about you?
Almost the exact same, actually, except that my name is Patrick.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Yeah, nice. Um, where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little town called Rockland in Ontario, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I lived there for 19 years. And then I moved to Washington State with my family. And then 6 months after that, I moved here to Michigan, Grand Rapids, where I don't know, just living life, working a job,
Nice.
dating a girl. I say dating.
Ooh,
I'm dating the best girl.
the best. Well,
Yes.
for you.
Yeah. How about you? Where do you live?
uh, right now, Phoenix. Um, but till when I was 12, I was in Pennsylvania, and then I moved to Phoenix from 12 onward, and then in between did some missionary work for a year, where I was in like 14 different states, and then I lived in Ohio for like 5 months,
Nice.
and then got married, and then went back to Arizona to the best girl.
Oh, for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
um. Okay. Between the ages of 0 and 18, like, what did your life look like?
Okay. Um. What did it look like?
Because I kind of know what happened after 18, but
What? Yeah. Um. Well, I lived in such a small town called Loretto where the population was like 1,200 with a college. So it was even less if you like discluded the college. Um, so most of the time it was like summers. Every Friday we would have a bonfire because why not? Technically weren't allowed it, but the fire department didn't care and they were a block away. Like literally, we could walk there. Um, we would play sports and ride bikes and go on drives. That's basically till 12. That's like just did sports, bonfires over the summer, played in the snow in the winter. We had a wooden um, stove for heating because it was cheaper than paying for the electric. So every fall we would stack our wood up against our um, house. That was a time.
you have a scar from that, right?
Oh, that was from I was getting some toys to play in the snow with my sister, and I was running back, and our driveway was lined with railroad ties, but you could only get two cars in it. But it was like railroad tie until it was like a U basically, and it
Mm-hmm.
was where it like the snow melted and then refroze. So it was like the like top layer
Oh,
ice, bottom layer snow, but the railroad ties were just ice. And the wood was stacked. So I ran, planted my foot on the railroad tie, slipped, and there was one piece of um, wood that was just angled, basically like a pizza, like a little triangle. And I just smacked my forehead on that. Yeah. So it
okay.
was like right above my eye. You can't really see the scar. Cabrini claims to be able to see the scar. Um, I can't find the scar. So, but yeah.
I I think I've seen it
Hmm.
one of the times. You were like explaining the story. You like showed me, and I had to like look, but I found it.
Yeah. So my mom has a scar from when she was a little kid, like basically same spot. but slightly different, where it just like raised her eyebrow to be like super angry. So sometimes it's like I'm not angry, but I just look like it. And she just has like a very aggressive and loud personality, so it's like clear. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I'll keep going down the timeline, and then I'll ask you the same question. Um, fifth grade, we drove to Texas to drop off a tabernacle that my dad built based off of the Ark of the Covenant.
Mhm.
So it was like gopher wood, like it would be in the Bible, and then gold plated, like it would have been. It had like the angels and stuff. It didn't look that nice, to be honest with you, but it looked nice, I guess.
Your dad's
Um,
gonna be like podcast being like, that son of a gun.
well, he's not. It's not his proudest work, but well, I guess the gopher wood was from the ark that Noah built, and then because the Ark of the Covenant was like solid gold or something.
Yeah.
Um, so we drove to Texas for that, and then we had there's like this conference that we went to that happened to be in Texas also, and then we flew back. That was my first time ever flying in like fifth grade summer, so fifth to sixth grade, and then a year later we decided to move to Arizona. And my dad always wanted to go to the West, um, ever since he was like younger, but he just never has. And also, he has his own company, so it was like move the shop, but there's more money, so it was a risk. But it was also like, what opportunities are there for my brother and sister and me for
Yeah.
when we grow up? Because as much fun it is to be small town person and also like country people, like I really enjoy that, but if you're trying to progress in like being successful, it's a lot harder. I feel like your workmanship and your like work quality and like how you live is a lot different, and it's more respectable than city life. But city life, you get more opportunities to um, be successful, I guess, as long as you
Yeah.
take them. And then sixth to I guess senior year, I was well, sixth to 10th grade, I was in the same school. Then I moved schools to do VOTEC, which is um, just more, it's like a trade school for high school.
Yeah.
So I did future engineering, which was fun, but I don't want to be in college for that long. And then I did automotive, which is fun, but I don't want to be surrounded by the language and just,
Colorful mechanics language.
yeah. Um, we have
Yeah.
my dad has a new mechanic. Man, they swear like sailors, and it's kind of funny, like listening to it because it's like they're like it's like things that aren't necessarily that upsetting. It's like man, this receipt isn't printing. Blah 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 blah. And it's like all you have to do is open it, rip the paper, and then you're good. But they're like, this new technology, I can't do this. But they'll like, but then they're like, I have to take out this engine. Yeah, no big deal. I'll do it. But when it comes to like, this is a true story, by the way. This happened like a week ago.
It's funny because my roommate Evan is running into the same thing
Yeah.
because he used to work at Chick-fil-A,
Mm-hmm.
but then he moved to work for like a contracting company, just like doing construction work.
Mm-hmm.
So he went from my pleasure to it's not even worth repeating.
Yeah, I know. Um, that's the nice thing about working for my dad is he swears every once in a while, but it's not like everything's a put out for him,
Yeah.
and it's yeah. So
It's also funny because it's like it's Evan, the guy who does not swear at
I
all.
know.
Like seeing him like start to think about whether or not he should or shouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
Trades,
So
man.
I know
Trades
they're good for life skill, but
and money.
and money, but well, it depends. You get a lot more if you own your business, but you
Yeah.
have to be the type to be able to own your business. So, um, how about you? So you lived in Canada.
Yeah.
You grew up surrounded with two older, three younger. Well, gradually three younger.
Gradually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the third oldest of six kids.
Yeah.
Um, my dad was one of the directors for a ministry program.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, I just got to meet a ton of new young Catholics, so that
Yeah.
was like super cool. I was thinking about this recently. I never like had a like typical family vacation because every year we would go to the ministry training
Training.
program.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was funny because my girlfriend took me with her and her family to their family vacation, and I was like, wow, this is so much fun. I didn't know that people did this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to realize that a lot of people actually do that. I just had a different
Yeah.
circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anyways, uh, growing up, I grew up and um, I don't know. I did elementary school. I homeschooled through 7 and 8, grade 7 and 8, and then I went back to school for a bit of high school, but COVID hit. I did the online thing for a while.
Mm.
Um, Once I graduated, I decided to do net straight out of high school, which
Why?
is doing that. Um, so so a little bit. It was because my parents like had met on net, and my brother met his wife on net, and my sister did net, and currently still works for net. But they all did net Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be the rebellious spirit, and I'm gonna do net USA instead.
Didn't someone? I don't remember who possibly said it, but didn't someone mention that your parents did Net USA technically?
Yes. So in my attempt to not be like my parents, I ended up doing exactly what my parents did.
Yeah, that was me, by the way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Um.
You ruined it for me. I was so happy with the decision I made, and then you're like, didn't you essentially just do the same thing your parents did?
Mm-hmm. Even more so because, well, tentatively even more so, depending on how
Depending on how things look.
in the future for you. Canadian and American.
Yep.
um, how is it like? Did growing up? Did you notice anything different about like your parents' relationships whenever one's from Canada and one's from America, especially like Canada and then Filipino and Indian?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I feel
So
like
my
that's just
dad,
a lot of cultures. Just
it it is, um, my dad being Filipino Indian. He wasn't born and raised in the Philippines or India. He was
hmm.
born Canadian. So
But your
I've
grandparents
noticed
were,
my grandparents were.
yeah,
My grandma was Filipino. My grandpa's Indian, and they immigrated to Canada
a long time
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Can we get copyrighted for that?
ago. Maybe I don't know.
We'll be fine. Um, I don't know. There wasn't like a ton of cultural differences. The Indian and Filipino side of my family like only ever came out when we were visiting my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean like the way that Canadians and Americans live, like their lifestyles are fairly similar, so I didn't notice too much
Yeah.
from living in Canada versus living in America. I don't know. The biggest difference was that Americans didn't say a.
Sorry.
Sorry. um, no, I don't know. It was fairly the same.
Hmm. Are there things you
But
miss?
then again, I don't have like a standard to base it off of. It was like
Yeah,
it's like I wasn't raised all Canadian or all American. I was just
half bred.
yeah.
Um,
Uh, so I did net out of high school. You did net out of high school,
yeah.
and that's where we met. We were in the same small group at net training,
And then same team.
and then on the same team. I remember team announcement night. Um, were you announced first or me?
You were.
I
Because I was
was.
like last to be one of the last to be announced, and I was like, great, I'm not gonna be on anyone that I wanted or team that I wanted to be on
Yeah.
with people.
But I remember being called up. They because nobody's from Ontario, so it would have been like, oh, is it me? And they're like, what
Yeah,
from Ontario, Canada? It's like, oh, that's me.
yeah,
Um, and I remember getting called up, and I like looked at the team members there, and I saw Wiley, and I was like, Wiley's kind of cool. I guess this could be interesting. This could be kind of fun,
hmm,
nice brotherhood. But of the women, I was like, I don't know any of these ladies at
yeah,
all.
hmm,
So I was like, this will be hard because I tried to get to know everyone, and I don't see anybody that I can imagine being like really good friends with.
hmm,
So I got up there and I was so happy, and then they called you, and I was like, oh man, God is
yeah,
smiling upon me.
yeah. I had like two people that I like wanted on my team. It was you and Joe. Um,
So one of them was your teammate, and the other one was your best man.
yeah. Um, so Joe and I's personalities somehow just melded, and usually I feel like usually it's like extrovert introvert, like that's where you get like the close relationships because like the introvert brings out the introvertness in the extrovert, so it's like you can get deep, and then like vice versa, which worked really
Yeah,
well for us, and it still does. But for some reason with like Joe, it's just like
it just clicked
we
just by
somehow
you being.
brought extrovertness out in each other,
Yeah,
but like I don't know how. But it was funny during December training. I was like, everyone was just dead a little bit,
yeah,
but there like everyone still swarmed Joe, and there were a handful of times when Joe was looking for me, and I didn't realize it because I was like, you know what? I've been calling Joe all year, like constantly for like the first semester, and he hasn't been like picking up. And everyone on my team was like, Dylan, you're just crazy. He doesn't like care about you as much as you care about him. And I was like, okay, I've accepted that. And then he was like looking for me all training or like a lot of it. And I was like, that is hilarious. And then everyone was like, we're sorry, Dylan. We were wrong. Because it was mainly the women on the team.
yeah. Everybody tends to get like a vastly different read from you than like what the actual truth is, because you're a very caring person, and you very
Yeah.
much like care and love about other people.
Hmm.
But people like will meet you and be like, oh, I guess he doesn't really care about me, and I'll just
Yeah.
leave and never ever be friends again.
Yeah. I'm a very stoic person usually. And I was talking to Cabrini the other day, maybe yesterday about it. It's hard
Yeah,
for me. It's hard for me to a break out of my shell, and it's hard for me to break other people out of shells, especially in group settings. And it's like most of the time when you're trying to meet people, it is group settings,
yeah.
which just like shoots me in the knee for half of the like introductions I meet people in. So it's like on the on net whenever we did retreats, it was actually like really good that like when I led certain things because that's where
Yeah.
I could like really be
Really,
good at
you
it.
really shined being like out. You know,
What?
you really shined like being in front of people.
Yeah, which is weird because you wouldn't think of that like
No.
being because I would like pre net and sometimes now I get like super anxious of like preparing to like do group things and like socialize.
Yeah.
Which like whenever I'm in certain social events and I'm like more extroverted and like seem in my element, you wouldn't think that.
No. Because you're comfortable. At like when you're comfortable, you can just relax.
Yeah,
And when you relax, it doesn't look like you're having a good time.
I know. It's like those memes where it's like engineers happy face,
Yeah.
engineers like just all the emotions, and then it's like engineers whenever they finally finish their project and it's like the slightest smirk.
We need to get you like an emotion patch where it's like I'm feeling happy,
Yeah.
which I'm feeling sad.
Mhm. But um why did you okay, you did net is the only reason why you did net because your family all did it.
No, I would say like the reason that I was aware of net and like considered net was because of my family. But
Mhm.
when I like actually took the time to discern whether or not I wanted to do net, I took my family's influence out of the
Mhm.
discernment process. Um, how did it go for me? When I initially sent my application in, just before that, I was like, all right, I don't like long term discernments. I don't like picking something and praying about it for months and months at a time. So I sat down and I was like, oh my God, I need some sort of sign to do net. And if you give it to me, then I'll send my application in. And then I finished my prayer, I went on my phone and I started scrolling. And
Mhm.
the the first post was by NetUSA, and it was apply now, get a free cup.
So you're like the
So
first to apply to, right?
yeah, I was within like the first 7 people to apply for our year,
Oh, okay.
but I got the cup.
Yeah. My application process took so long. I'm just terrible at writing. Did you like have it written out already and you were just like ready to send it, but you're like, God, I need a sign.
No, no, I like looked at it. I found the post and
Mm-hmm.
I clicked on the link and I just like spent the next 2 hours filling
Oh,
out all
okay.
the application details and stuff.
Yeah. So,
Somebody at some point, should this podcast get more popular, at some point somebody needs to like go through the footage and count the amount of times that I press my glasses up because I will do that. I think I've done that like at least 12 times already.
yeah. I mean, we both just fidget because we need to fidget.
I mean, here, watch. I don't actually need these for this close.
What?
I get
What?
you.
Your eyes are
I can
naked.
see. No, actuality, I
Censor.
just your face.
um, yeah.
Okay, I guarantee you, I've taken my glasses off with sometime within the next like 30 minutes. I'm gonna like press my glasses as if they're actually there.
Yeah.
Um, right. Discernment. I saw the post. I was like, okay, I'll apply. Whatever. I applied. They sent me the hey, like you've been accepted. Do you still want to do this or not? And it was at that point I had gone camping with some friends of mine, and like I had gotten the email that I got accepted right before I left, and I
Yeah.
went camping, and this is a really nice place. It was like this hill, a bunch of trees, and a beach with a dock. But I had gone and I sat on the dock and I prayed and I was like, is this really what I want to do? Is this something that I
It's
want to spend the next 9 months of my life doing?
yeah.
And I remember playing Bible roulette. We've all done it.
I've been doing it for my prayer. Let me
It
tell you.
worked.
Well,
I
there's a
swear, did you open
theme.
the like Song of Solomon or something?
No, but there's a theme in my Bible roulette for the past week. Anyways, but continue. I can segue later.
Well, it was there's a whole long story to this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's yeah, let me go get my Bible. Actually, I can pull it up.
Do, 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 do. anyways.
This is the same Bible that I've had since I did net. Since I was 16, actually. So I've had this for 4 years now.
Since you were 16,
Yeah.
that's 5. No, you're almost 21. For some reason, I was like 16. That's when you're graduating. So, or like that's like whatever grade. I don't know. Freshman year, I
Not
guess.
everyone is an academic giant, Dylan.
I'm really
Okay.
not. I tried applying to colleges. My test taking skills horrendous.
Right. But when you actually apply yourself,
Oh
you're
yeah,
low key a genius.
yeah. Sometimes.
Um, right. So I opened my Bible and I closed my eyes. I just put my finger down and I looked, and the one that came up was Book of Sirach, chapter 2. The verse, I still have it highlighted. The verse was, "My son, if you
I'd be
come forward to
considering.
serve the Lord, remain in justice and fear, and prepare yourself for temptation. Set your heart right and be steadfast. Incline your ear and receive the words of understanding, and do not be hasty in time of calamity." I there were several things in there, but like a lot of that just like spoke to me. Essentially saying, especially the first sentence, which is, "My son, if you come forward to serve the Lord, remain in justice and fear, and prepare yourself for temptation."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's pretty much
Mhm.
God saying, "Yeah, go do that."
Yeah.
Um, I learned later that my dad, when he was discerning to do net, he did the same thing, and he played Baba Roulette, and he saw, and the chapter and book and verse that he came up with was Sirach chapter 2, verse 1.
Mm. Well, there's some cool things with um like relationships and like how God speaks in
Yeah,
like generations. But
yeah,
the bad thing too is like that whole thing comes into sin too.
yeah.
So it's like things get passed down.
Um, and then I would say like the last part of my discernment was actually on the road. You remember
Hmm.
this? The we It was like a month in, and I hated every minute of it. I was having such a hard time. Um, just like connection with the team, that was super difficult. I couldn't
Hmm.
figure out how to talk to any of them, especially because I was an extrovert among a team of almost all introverts.
They claimed to be introverts.
Yeah,
I would
and they
say
also
like I think they all just I mean if they're ever watching this, I'm sorry. They said like in their own groups they would be like extroverts and super like outgoing even if it's like and sure there's difference between in your own group and not, but it's like you have to
yeah,
pursue it to become that in a new group. So it's almost like lack of drive.
yeah. Um, and that I certainly felt that it was just like hard to engage
Yeah.
in conversation with them. Like, I'm an extrovert. I have the easiest time talking to people. Of like the 120 people that were at net training,
Hmm.
I I met and got to know at least 100 of them.
Yeah.
Um, but like I had never had such a hard time meeting and getting to understand people.
Hmm.
Um, but there was that. There was the migraines that I kept having, all of that, and I talked to our supervisor Colin. I talked to his boss Manny, and I was like, "Hey, I want to go home. I don't want to do this anymore."
Hmm.
Um, and I almost left. I was like 3 days away from actually leaving, and we stopped at a church. And at the back of the church, there was like the seminarian poster,
Hmm.
and um, there were a list of seminarians, but there was two, and they both had the same first name, Eric and Eric, but one was Eric with a C and the other was Eric with a K. Um, and their last names, the first Eric, his name was Eric Patrick, and then the guy next to him was Eric Pereira. And my full name is Patrick Pereira.
Yeah.
And then the caption, like the verse at the top of the seminarian's poster, literally said, "Do not be afraid. I have called you by name. You are mine." I was
Mhm.
just like,
Yeah.
it can't get more obvious than that.
Mhm.
So I stuck it out. It was hard. I'm glad that I did though, because well, I got to meet you
Oh, okay. I thought
for
it was something else.
I did get to meet my girlfriend, which was um low key, I think, a major reason why I went to net, why God called me to do net.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's like,
just
don't
like
go to net to think that he's gonna just provide like a woman. You
yeah,
know, it's like,
I well, I told you like I had every intention to go to net and not
I
follow
know.
the stereotype and find a girl.
I didn't know it
And
was a
I did,
stereotype until after.
but I didn't. Like I went to net and I
Yeah.
went training and I was fine. I was like, no attractions,
Mhm.
no like the women here are lovely and beautiful, but
Yeah.
I'm not particularly attracted to any of them.
Mm.
And then my girlfriend joined our team halfway through, and then I knew that I was screwed.
Yeah. The funny
Um,
thing is, we both met her after we got our team announcement
yeah, yeah, because
because
she was there, but
yeah, she
she
was
wasn't.
there and we did our team meeting and you were talking um to a guy to one of her friends and
Yeah,
then it was kind of like us two as introverts. So we took personality tests. Me and his girlfriend have the same personality type to like it's like we took the 16 personality test by Myers-Briggs or whatever. And it's like the percentages. I think the highest difference in percentage was 6% or something crazy. Where
yeah.
it was like we were like to the T, which is kind of funny, because one of Patrick's best friends now has the same personality type as his girlfriend,
Oh, I have a thought.
self-proclaimed
I,
Patrick's best
you know, I don't know. I need to get that out of my head.
friend.
Moving on.
Anyways, but we were talking to each other, which is weird because I like didn't know her at the time, and Patrick was super extroverted, so I was like, oh, I guess I have to be social because this is a ministry thing where everyone's like, oh, we love Jesus, and I was like, oh, I'm don't want to talk all the time. Um, so and then the funny thing is, I don't think I properly knew her name at the time. So then in December when we were told, so we got stuck in a retreat center and they said who would be on our team. They said the name and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that person." And Patrick was like, "Yeah, that person we met." And I'm like, "Who?"
Ooh.
And I still didn't like connect the dots until after. I was like, "Oh," and then I totally don't think she remembered me, or she might have knew you just because you were like outgoing, but I don't
Yeah,
think she would have known it
she had
from that
seen me moving around.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So.
like we have had like two half conversations at that
Mhm.
point. Um, as embarrassed as I am to say, I don't actually remember talking to her aside from the one time she gave us the tip with like Dawn dish soap and
Oh
getting
yeah.
stained.
Mhm.
Um, but like she said that we had talked two or three more times prior to that, and I was like, huh, I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah. Karini said that she met me before we were put on teams, but I don't remember it because it was when um, Elizabeth lost her voice, and apparently Karini was there, like deciphering her.
Yeah,
But I
that
don't
was
have any
fun.
recollection of that. So yeah.
What
Um,
about you? What was your like discernment process into that?
so I was struggling a bit of what to do. I was having like senioritis where I just wanted to be done with school, but I had no idea what I wanted to do in the future. I knew I did not want to work for my dad.
And where are you now?
I work for my dad. I knew I didn't want to work for my dad right now at like the time. Um, I still sometimes don't, but you are where you are. But I was talking to my youth minister and I was like, look, so basically I was a teen acting as an adult core member for my youth group,
Yeah.
which I started having a problem with, so I kept talking about how that's an issue, which started getting resolved actually. And then the year ended and then, I got stuck in the dirt. Um which is hard to do cuz dirt's dry. Anyways, um so I was talking to her and being like, look, I love volunteering and I feel like it's life giving whenever I volunteer and help with these things. Um, but I know I need more formation. And I was like, and I know I hate school, but if I wanted to do it and pursue it, I could do youth ministry. It's like, that's a great idea. But normally, whenever you go to school for it, you have to do a year or however long of ministry in general. She's like, I did Totus Tuus. She was like, but another good one is Net. I was like, okay, I'll give it a look. So I looked at it and I kind of just like was like, okay, the website's open. I'll look at it later. And then we got a new pastor, and he's such a vibrant priest and um, I guess I should say Catholic pastor, as in head of the parish that we were at. To clarify. Um, so he was stationed there and was new, and he was all about like, okay, what's the mission for the parish? What are we going to do to change things? And what are we going to do to bring young people and like things? And his mission statement was to know Jesus and to fulfill his great commission. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then he did an Ignatian discernment retreat as I was thinking about doing that, talking about how peace and all this stuff, so you can fulfill the Great Commission. And I was like, okay, this is weird that this like Great Commission keeps showing up. And then I
Yeah.
go onto the Net website, and I don't know if they still have it, but it was like, are you ready to know Jesus and fulfill his Great Commission? I was like, okay, I guess. And I took that. I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. But then I started the application process. I want to say in November. I finished it in January. Like I had to restart because I didn't finish it in time, and it like reset. And then I didn't get approved until April, just because of how long. Like
Yeah.
I'm yeah.
They got busy at that point.
Mm-hmm. And then I couldn't. So it was my youth minister, another guy, and that pastor, um, who that priest who I wanted as my references. And it was literally the last day. And I was like, hey, today's the last day. I need to get it in if I want to get approved. And I was like super stressed. I was like, I'm not going to get approved. I'm not going to like get accepted. I already did the like meeting and all that stuff. But if I don't get this in, I can't get. And then literally an hour later, he submitted it. And then the next day, I got the phone call saying I got accepted. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was so worried. Um, well, actually, I missed the call because I had school. So I called back right after school, and then I got accepted. Um, but that was why I joined. And then also, I was like, okay, I want retreat team, but the Lord knows best. So when filling out the thing, I opened up the Bible, and like it was the time where we picked a specific Bible verse, and I was like, I like Matthew. So I picked a random one in Matthew, and it was foxes have dens, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. And it was also saying to follow me, and I was like, okay, discipleship team, you're at the same place for the whole year.
Yeah.
That's like you have a place to rest because you're there. I was like, but the Lord clearly in this said, no place to like to lay your head, which I should have also like looked at the sign of like, okay, I'm gonna be exhausted this year too, And I did way more work than I should have that year. But
You like got burnout every other week.
I got burnt out, but I kept doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the weird part. Like, usually when people get burnt out, they're done.
You like got burned out and then got burned out when you're burnt out.
Yeah, and it's like I would sleep, still be burnt out, but keep doing it. It's like there's literally no other thing of other than like the Lord's grace just letting me do what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because it was like,
You carried.
well, it was every time I literally, like, I don't know if you know this, but every time I would finally tell Wiley that I was burnt out, he'd say, okay, you can have the next retreat off. You'd get a migraine.
I'd get a migraine.
But it was like every time I mentioned it, the next day you got a migraine or got sick, and I had to be on the retreat, which I built up some resentment for it because I was like, I was
Yeah.
on like the crisp edge of like just losing it, but you know, it worked out, but
It worked out.
it was tough. Um, but then um, in December, another thing like that discernment type of happened to me where everyone on net does the Marian consecration. Okay. And like you did it, everyone did it, and I was like, look, I like the idea. I want to do it. But I don't want to do it just because everyone on net's doing it. Like that's not why I want to do it. I didn't know fully enough what it was, so I was like, okay, I want to like learn about it. I think it was Alex.
Skowski?
I think so. There's only one Alex. The guy. There are two, but like the guy Alex.
Yep.
We went to Target and I was talking to him about it, and he kept mentioning zeal, and it was like you get a greater zeal for like Mary and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna read the introduction of the Marian thing. And then it said zeal a lot. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. I was like, weird, but you know, we'll wait. And then the next net talk, literally the next one that we had, it was all about zeal for the Lord and Mary, and I was like, okay, I get it. And then I was like, okay, Lord, next time we have the Marian consecration to like start date, I'll do it. Okay, that's it. I'll do it. It was that day.
I want to see it.
What? I don't wear it because I don't want to scratch wood.
Oh no, that's fair. Actually, you work in a wood
Yeah,
shop.
I don't want to damage cabinetry. But I was like, next, yeah, I was like, and then Alex was like, well, you should like give it time so you can really think about it. And I was like, okay, that's fair. And I was like, okay, I keep getting these signs next time because I was like, you know what? Usually it's like you start one and then it's like how long to start. And I knew that the women on our team just started one like 5 days beforehand for a different Marian apparition. And I was like, okay, next time it starts, I'll start one. It was that day, and it was Our Lady of Lourdes. And then anytime I was like at my lowest point on net, there would be like the full grotto of like Our Lady of Lourdes. It wasn't like a statue of Our Lady of Lourdes. It was like the whole mountain with Saint Bernadette and Our Lady of Lourdes in like the thing. And I was like, but then when I would get out of that like little crux that I was in, she would appear again, kind of like being like, it's done.
Yeah.
Without fail. It was like every time. So.
Hold that thought. I'm gonna run and grab a charger. My phone is at like 2%.
Rip.
You can always tell which one of us is the more ill-prepared.
Yeah. I'm getting new headphones.
I need to get a mic.
What?
I need to get a microphone.
I know. I should just mail you one of mine.
Low-key.
Cabrini got me a new pair of headphones. Well, I've been wanting them because I saw that Bose had a deal on headphones, and they're over the ear Bose. And like, the nice thing is, they're wireless, but not only are they wireless, they're also wired. Like you can choose, but usually wireless headphones, when you make them wired, you still have to turn them on. So it's like pointless. Of like, why am
Yeah.
I gonna just have wired headphones when I still have to use the battery? But these ones don't use the battery when they're wired.
Oh.
So, and they were on sale for like $100, and then Cabrini got another sale for $125. So,
Mhm.
did I need them? No. And was I like a little impatient about being like, I want these, and a little obsessive? Yes, yes, I was. That's my portion of like ADHD or whatever. Is I just get like focused on one thing. I don't
Yeah.
actually think I have it, but
Okay. Okay. So talking about Cabrini, do you wanna do you wanna get into wrap up week?
no, not yet.
Okay.
Not right now.
Um.
That's for a later date. Because I don't know who all knows that whole.
Wall knows.
Yeah. Um.
We'll put that on for now.
Yeah.
Essentially, after the road,
We started dating,
you started dating.
which we say we started dating July 15th, as like, and then we got married July 6th. So less than a year. But realistically, we probably started dating beforehand. We just didn't like say it was dating.
Yeah.
So
Because you guys would hang out, but it was never official. And then Cabrini at some point said she like referred to you as her boyfriend.
yes. Well, by then I asked, and we had a day for our first date. But then
Oh,
someone asked if she had a boyfriend, and she just said yes. So that's what July 15th was. And then she was all
oh,
worried.
yeah. uh, how long have we been going for?
53 minutes.
How long were we wanting to go for?
Kind of however long we like get a good groove.
Cool.
I'd say an hour to hour 30.
Okay. I would actually say maybe we save the relationship stories for another episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Um, we were talking about the Bible roulette, how you did it.
Yeah.
Recently, I've been doing Bible roulette.
How's that been going?
It's been good, but I don't know. So it's been good. I will say, I don't know if it's like the Lord isn't saying something or if there is, because there's correlation in all that I've been reading, and it's like
Mhm.
obvious correlation. And I'll just like tell you all the stuff so you can like hear out the correlation. And I'll tell you what I've been thinking about like doing to see if there's correlation in that too, because
Okay.
I feel like there is. Um, so I was in adoration,
Mhm.
and I went to flip open the Bible, and I wanted the Gospels because I've been trying to think of a theme for like a young adult youth group,
Yeah.
but like 18 to 30, basically net age, because I feel like that area is lacking. Um, but I opened it and I wanted it in the Gospels, so I picked the Gospel area in the Bible because I knew, like, you know where it is. It's like
Yeah.
the lesser
It's like
portion. Yeah, it's like the
my mom.
smaller portion. Yeah, but my Bible was upside down, so I picked the Old Testament and like kind of beginning of Old Testament. So the first one was about um, Samson. Um, Samson, his first wife got remarried because the dad made her get remarried, and he wasn't happy about it. So he killed a bunch of people. And then the Philistines were like, or Palestine, I forget who they were. I think the Philistines were like, why'd you do that? And they were like ready to pounce. And then Samson was like, my wife got remarried without my permission. And it's like, wife, obviously, like, shouldn't get remarried. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's fair. So then they killed his wife, the husband, and her dad for justice, which is fair. Like, in the old time of Old Testament, like thinking of like first of all, they're like the like pagans, I guess, and they did something like kind of justice wise. I mean, death a little extreme, but justice wise, at least they like didn't just attack Samson for it, you know?
Yeah.
But then Samson was like, "Why did you do that?" and was angry about it. So then he tied a bunch of foxes' tails together and put the torches on. I don't know if you know the story. Put torches on the foxes' tails and set them wild in their wheat fields and vineyards. So basically, all the Palestines or Philistines fields and stuff burnt down. They're like, "Who did this?" And then they were like, "It was Samson." And then the Hebrews got scared.
It's the Philippines.
Yeah, the Hebrews got scared of the Philistines, and they went to the mountain that Samson went to, and they tied Samson up because they didn't want the Philistines to take it out on them. Samson was fine because they weren't gonna attack him. But then it was they made note that it was a new rope that like they tied him with, but he was walking and found a deer jaw. I mean, a donkey jaw bone, and he killed 1,000 people with a donkey jawbone. He first
Mhm.
ripped open the rope from his wrist, and then grabbed the bone and killed 1,000 people. So war, basically.
Yeah.
Then the next day, I opened the Bible, and it was um, a woman killed a man, took his like decapitated him, took the head, and basically told these people in the middle of the night you're gonna attack these people who are bad, and they're gonna be confused because their leader's gone, and then you'll just slaughter them. But take this one dude out so he can like we can tell him what we did. So they did, and then that guy converted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's another war thing. And then there was another one, but I forget that what that one was. But then I've been trying to come up with topics, and I've of like what the topic should be. And there was another thing like in the gospel it said seek, which I feel like you can do like seek the Lord. And I feel like there's a lot that you can do that with that because it's like a lot of victories and wars in the Old Testament is from whenever the Hebrews sought the Lord. So
So husbands, wives, and wars, right?
basically,
Okay. So the only I'm just like taking this from my perspective. You did the 33-day consecration of Saint Joseph, right?
yes, I did that with Cabrini.
Yeah. So I did that with my girlfriend. I, for all intents and purposes, I have refused to use her name because I haven't asked her if I could on this podcast yet. But,
Yeah,
um,
I saw you tiptoeing. That's why I haven't said it either.
thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate that. In the consecration, I think it was the day after Saint Joseph's title of Pillar of Families. I think
Mm-hmm.
Saint Joseph Pillar of Families, and in there at some point he wrote like at some way somehow the final like battle between good and evil will be over families.
Yes.
So I don't know the way that I like after hearing you talk about where your Bible roulette was going, essentially that is like making sure that you have a good relationship with your wife and that
Mm-hmm.
Cabrini has a good relationship with you.
Yeah.
Um, else results in war.
Yeah.
I think that that can apply like a lot to spiritual warfare. Like you will have such a hard time with like your own personal prayer and like your spiritual life and everything like that
Mm-hmm.
if you do not have a good relationship with your spouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like at that point you're one, so it's like as a whole you have to be good to then like be good for
Yeah.
spiritually, because now you're just not your own responsibility, but you're someone else's.
Um, you want to call it?
Sure. All right.
Okay.
So
Um, huh?
nothing. I'm just talking. Are we just gonna end it, or are we just gonna be like, all right, see you guys?
Well, I feel like we should probably mention to
Yeah.
our one viewer
It's
who's
both of us. We're both the viewers.
right. We're both so our two very loyal viewers
Yeah.
each other. Um,
We.
we need help coming up with a good name for the podcast. Right now, our placeholder is Sensible Pair, which is literally just a, a mix match of both of our last names.
Yeah.
Ideas for things that we should, could, and would talk about. I forgot that it does that. Just the little things work like this.
Doesn't work for me. I think it might be because it's like going through my camera and then going to the software. But
um, that, and then as it stands, we'll probably try and release a episode once a month.
mm-hmm.
If it starts to pick up, we'll probably maybe do
Twice a
once
month.
every other week, and then if it gets even more popular,
Yeah.
we'll see
When
where it
it,
goes from there.
I would be like ecstatic if we could like eventually do this, like,
Regularly.
or even just like full time or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
Like if this is our job.
I would love to get paid to talk for talking.
For talking to
Paid.
you.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think if we can consistently do it till December, we should start asking certain people to be on the podcast.
Yeah, I know that my girlfriend had mentioned that she wanted to at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah.
and
Well,
possible cameo of both of us at the same place in
yes,
December.
hopefully
So,
December.
anyways,
Excited.
so we will
Alrighty.
hopefully record. We might pre-record some, we might not, but we
See
will
what happens.
try doing. We'll try picking like first of the month, like first Friday of the month. We'll pick something that suits us and suits a listening environment. Like Fridays is usually good, maybe Saturdays,
Yeah.
maybe even a Monday.
Whatever happens.
Yeah, but we'll try being it like routinely.
Yeah.
But so
Right. Well,
we will talk to you all later.